The member for Rankin.
Thanks, Speaker. My question is to the Treasurer. Last week the Reserve Bank said very low levels of investment are a very significant issue for the Australian economy. Given that business investment is now down 20% under this Liberal government and is now at its lowest levels since the last recession 3 decades ago, why doesn't the government have a plan to lift business investment and get the economy going again?
The Treasurer has the call.
Well, thank you, Mr Speaker. Under the coalition, investment outside the mining sector has increased by 34% since we came to government, Mr Speaker. Under Labor, investment outside the mining sector fell by 10% during their time in office. Now, Mr Speaker, the member for Rankin refers to the Governor of the Reserve Bank. Now, the Governor of the Reserve Bank made a very interesting speech last week,
member for Rankin.
and what he said was that the fundamentals of the Australian economy were, in his words, very strong, Mr Speaker. That is what he has said. The strong fundamentals include world-class endowments of natural resources, a highly skilled and innovative workforce, an established and predictable regulatory system, sound public finances, a diverse and growing population, and being well placed to benefit from the strong growth in Asia, not just in China, but also in the countries of Indonesia and India, Mr Speaker. So this is what the Governor of the Reserve Bank of Australia said. So we have a lot to feel fortunate about. We enjoy a set of fundamentals and a standard of living that few other countries enjoy. It's important that we do not lose sight of this. So why is it only the Labor Party who's constantly talking down the Australian economy, Mr Speaker? The Governor of the Reserve Bank is saying how strong the fundamentals. It's because the Labor Party are only interested in the politics of the economy, not the jobs that the economy creates, not in boosting the livelihoods of hard-working Australians. The reality is, Mr Speaker, when we came to government, we inherited a budget that was in a mess. $48.5 billion, around 3% of GDP, was the deficit that the Labor Party bequeathed the Australian people and the coalition. Well, we have seen over the last 6 years a turnaround so that we have now delivered the first balanced budget in 11 years, Mr Speaker. When we came to government, unemployment was 5.7%. Today it's 5.1%. As the Prime Minister has said many times, including yesterday, when we came to government, 2 free trade agreements covered two-way trading relationships.
The Treasurer will resume his seat. The member for Rankin on a point of order.
Yeah, relevant, Speaker. If he doesn't have a plan for business
the
investment,
member
he
for
should just
Rankin
say
will resume
so.
his seat. The member for Rankin, that was not a point of order. The Treasurer has the call.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Our plan for business is creating more jobs, including through free trade agreements, and yesterday was a historic day, including through lower taxes for small businesses and for income earners, including from a 10-year, $100 billion rolling infrastructure program. Only those on this side of the House will reduce people's taxes and create more jobs.
Just before I call the next question, member for Parramatta's not helping. Leader of the Opposition, I'm just trying to address the House. Just going to say, with points of order, I've made the point before, frivolous points of order I'm not going to allow, and if that practice continues, it's happened a couple of times, what I'll do is take the approach former Speaker Jenkins did, and that is simply rule on the point of order without hearing from the member. I think it's not a great path to go down, but if you leave me with no alternative, that's what I'll do. And if you want to know how that worked, you can ask the Minister for Home Affairs. He was the subject of it in opposition.